Right, we'll continue our investigation then of how we move things around on our timeline, i.e. we'll be constructing sequences, and these sequences will be constructed by following up what we did in the previous tutorial, where we explored, or at least looked at, how we can trim any of our files, be it audio or video, so that we don't use the whole clip within our project. Now you'll remember in our previous tutorial, we got as far as setting up an in point and an out point that looped around or created a region around a couple of bars of this song that the band are playing. And this is our in point here, or at least this is where I want my in point to be. So I'll set an in point, come across to this button and click on it, and once done, well, that sets my in point. And therefore, because I've got an in point and an out point there, if I click on our play button, now you won't be able to hear it because I've muted the audio, but our playhead is looping around our in point and our out point. And the in point was set on the beginning of a bar, and the out point is set at the beginning of a different bar of this particular song. And I've done this because I want this section to be part of my finished video. Now my cursor is at the beginning of this region, this ranged area, so a quick way of moving it to the end is by using the shortcut Control with the right arrow key. Now at the moment, set like this, all I've really done is created a looped area that here within my trimmer window I can loop round and round. What I want to do is end up with a new clip created from this small section. And I want to place this newly created clip into my project media panel so that I can then subsequently use it when I'm constructing a sequence on my timeline. Now at the moment, if you look very carefully just at this ranged area, well, you can see that the ranged area between my in point and my out point isn't highlighted in any way. Yes, it is just above that thin blue band to indicate my in point and my out point, but my audio track there isn't highlighted in any way. But if I come over here to my out point button to set an out point, then notice on my timeline, well, you can just about see that that area is now highlighted. And this means now if I want to create a shortened version of just this area, then I can do to place down on my timeline. Once I have placed it in my project media panel first of all. Now just before we get to that step, do notice above here the name of this particular file. And we can see that it finishes with the number 2244. Well, what I want to be able to do is create a short section from this, and Vegas will allow me to do it. And what the procedure is to create a new area is, well, we're going to create what's known as a subclip. A subclip, as its name indicates, is part of the main clip. And to be able to do it, we just need to come down over here to this button, and once I click on it, then you can see with this small dialog box, this create subclip dialog box, that I can either give it a new name of my choosing, or I can leave the name that Vegas has chosen for me. And the name is very similar, of course, to the original name. It's the exact file name, but with the addition of subclip 1 at the end there. Now all I need to do is simply click on OK. Right, we're done. Now at the moment you're not going to see that subclip named here in my Explorer window because I've not brought it into my project yet. It's been created, but I've not brought it into this area here. And in all honesty, I don't really need to, because I'm going to find it in a moment in the project media panel. Right, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to remove this clip, this main clip, from our trimmer window by clicking on here. Now what that's done, of course, is remove it from our trimmer window. It's not deleted it from my hard drive in any way. Now, whilst I've been setting up this tutorial for you, I've been running through it with different clips. So I need to close these down as well. Now, I purposely left them here so that you can see that we can stack as many different clips as we want within this window here. And if I use the drop arrow, I'm not going to at the moment, but if I use the drop reveal arrow there, I could select from any of these files that I've been viewing. As it is, I'm going to remove them. So I'm going to click on here again and a couple more times as well. Okay, and so in here, in my recently viewed list, well, as you can see, it says none. Right, let's go down over to our project media panel by clicking on here, and there you'll see my subclip. And of course, if you look closely at it, then of course you can see it's based on our first clip, the one to its left. But by scrutinizing the thumbnail view, then you'll see the camera zoomed in just slightly at this point, and therefore we can see Josh just a little bit more clearly. And also with our subclip, we can see the appended name there, subclip 1, added to the main clip's name. And of course, if I wanted to add this to my timeline, well, I just simply need to double click on it. And as we've seen a few times already, that now sends it down onto my timeline, adding the video to the video track in our track list and its embedded audio to my audio track on track 2 there in my track list. Now I'm just going to zoom in, and I'm doing this just slightly off screen. Okay, there we go. Right, that's the principle then when we want to build up or construct a sequence on our timeline. It's not the only way of doing it, but it is the method that I tend to use most. I will take the main clip into my trimmer window and then trim away parts I don't want and just retain the bit I do want, and then send that down to the timeline. And then by doing this, I can build up a full sequence using just the elements that I want to use. Hence, we construct our sequence from smaller parts. Now, do you remember me saying in the previous tutorial, towards the end of the tutorial, that I didn't accurately set the in and out points? I was close, but not exact. Well, that doesn't really matter, because now, down on my timeline, and because I've got a much larger viewing area, then I can be much more precise with my edit. Okay, so it's not set in stone what you trim within the trimmer window. So if I want to trim this clip, for example, then I can do. Just roll your mouse over the end, left click and drag to the left to remove some of the clip. And of course you would go the other way if you wanted to add some, bearing in mind you can only add as far as the original clip allows. And then now I can left click on another clip, and rather than taking it to my trimmer window, which is what I would normally do, I could now just drag that down onto my timeline. Then I can trim it. Maybe I'll take some of the beginning away and then drag it so that it lines up with the end of our first clip, this subclip. And so you can see the principle then. This is how we construct a sequence, albeit we've only used 2 clips here, but this is the principle of how we construct a sequence. And by developing this, by using lots of different subclips, then the end result will be a finished video.